that has been touched, by another man or whatever. But guess what's gonna happen? There's gonna be many of them. There's gonna be a lot to be saved. You gotta bring the other balance, too.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have children with them because that's how we're gonna start the kingdom of heaven.
Now, as far as these hoes in the industry, I believe the majority of them gonna die. But when Yahweh Shai said the harlots going to the kingdom before the wicked Pharisees and them, that was dealing with these women that are actually out there prostituting themselves for money. Because a lot of times that's all they got. So the Lord said, really, they're really more righteous than these people because they're really sincere in what they do.
They'll tell you what they are.
They won't try to paint the picture like there's some virtuous woman. They'll just tell you straight, look, I'm a hoe. You know what I'm saying? This is how it is. If you want to have sex with me, you got to pay me this much and that much, and that's it.
There's a difference between a slut and a hoe. All right,
hey, you gotta respect them. At least they're honest.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing.
Hey, because why would Yahweh Shai say that? Why would he say that the harlots and the publicans go into the kingdom before you do?
Because they weren't hypocrites. They're straightforward, straight shooters.
So now these hoes in the industry, in the entertainment world, they're doing that because they're doing that. They prostitute themselves for money and the fame of this world. See, them women, they're doing it because they don't have a choice. So there's a difference, But I mean, I'm not the Most High, so I don't know who the Lord's gonna save or who's not. But the majority, I believe that the majority of those women that's in the entertainment world that's doing that, they're gonna die.
Going back to this scripture, some brothers bring up whatever else.
And you got that in Corinthians? Okay.
I'm gonna finish this out. Is back to Deuteronomy 18 and 9. When thou art coming to the land, because it all ties in. Like these women in the industry, they're in there pushing those philosophies of Satan. Remember that bitch Rihanna had that video, the umbrella. She put up the witchcraft sign and all of that to indoctrinate you bubbleheads into that world.
Illuminati umbrella.
Exactly. It says, when thou art coming to the land which the Lord thy power giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations. There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh a son or daughter to pass through the fire, or that uses divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch.
Observer of times, you got the palm readers, the soothsayer. That's a big thing.
Or a charmer. Or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer.
Hey, the number one out of all the women, so-called Negro Latino women, or Gadite women, North American Indian, they're the number ones into that astrology, the palm reading. That's how they make all that money, man.
Ask you what's your sign?
Yeah, what's your sign? And they get all into that. Oh, Jimmy, I'm not compatible with that. That's all astrology or witchcraft. That's where they get all that shit. That was the fruit that the serpent gave to Eve. Witchcraft. That was the whole thing. When we talk about that fruit, it's talking about fruit or food for thought, or a philosophy, which is a food for thought or a way of living. That's what that whole thing get tied into. That's why when Yahweh Shai was here, he told his disciples, I got meat that you know not of. That meat was to do the will of my Father.
Which is true knowledge.
Which is true, the tree of righteousness.
All right, verse 12. For all that do these things, and mind you, this is about Israelites. The 2/3, these wicked sons of bitches. They talking about the Lord's telling us not to do as the other nations are doing. But there are those that are doing it, that are going to be doing it. For all that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord. And because of these abominations, the Lord thy power doth drive them out from before thee. And we're living in a time now where the Lord's about to drive them the F out one last time, man.
That
by way
proves
of nuclear missiles.
That proves that none of the heathen could be saved. Their whole philosophy and everything that they learn or they worship all goes back to Sodom and Gomorrah, which is immoral. What was it, Deuteronomy 33rd chapter? It says their rock is not like ours. For their vine and their grapes go as in Sodom and Gomorrah. Why it said grapes? Because what comes from grapes? Wine. When you read the scriptures, wine represents philosophy, their way of living. When you go into the Japanese, when you go into the Chinese, When you go to the Africans, even down to the bases of men, which is the so-called white men who stole all their philosophies, it all goes into Satanism or Sodom and Gomorrah, which is all tied in together, man. That proves that none of the heathen are gonna make it, man.
That's right.
This is their time to shine, and the Lord said He's gonna wipe their ass out like a bad dream, man. He said hour is gonna take to destroy all this filth and this wickedness, all this satanic grows, all this satanic symbols. That's why you go to from Washington D.C. with the Washington Monument or the Egyptian obelisk to the way the architecture layout is all sediment to the pentagram and to the owl. The Lord says He's gonna sweep all that filth away by thermonuclear destruction, man.
Hey, Apostle Ronald, what they call that? They got these things called ley lines.
Ley lines.
Ley lines, which each point, and the way they do it, they connect Washington D.C. and the ley lines and the way they laid down their architects, power spots, and they connect it with the ones out there in Vatican,
England,
yeah. In London. You know,
yeah, because
like
you know, like when you read Genesis 28, I think it is. You know, they speak about Jacob's ladder.
Right.
When he was there, he saw a vision of the angels going up and down the so-called ladder, which was basically the angels going up and down into heaven, back and forth from heaven into earth.
Right.
So when he woke up, he said he perceived that was a gate of heaven. So a gate is a gateway, a portal, right, from this world to the next world.
Right.
You know, so there's certain places on the earth that have a certain amount of presence of the angels there, and that's why these devils, they try to put their satanic spin on those particular power spots to water.
Yeah, because they made movies like Stargate.
Yeah.
They made movies like The Fifth Element. That they had to get these 5 elements to put them together, and then that would be like a portal.
You said The Fifth Element?
The movie The Fifth Element.
Isn't that with that faggot Chris Tucker?
Yeah.
You know, I've been meditating on that movie the last few days since this whole faggot shit's been coming out.
Right.
And they remember they were pushing that faggot Chris Tucker.
Right.
He was a faggot in that movie.
Right.
I was thinking about that, and they was pushing that shit way back then.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Well, anyway, they were pushing about, you know, how these 5th elements got to come together in order to get this power, you know, or whatever. And then they found one of the priests went into a cave with his little servant or whatever. He was trying to look for the 5 elements or whatever. And then these aliens came down in a ship, which they represent the angels. You know, this dude was a priest. And it goes to show you.
Priest. I gotta watch that movie again.
In that movie, the president, right, of the so-called United States was Sonny Liston. What's his name? Zeus. Zeus Liston. Little Zeus, whatever. That was his name. Tiny. I knew it was his son. Tiny Zeus Liston, whatever. You know that nigga with the cross eyes?
Oh, that dude Debo.
Debo from Friday, man.
You got knocked the fuck out.
And Tiny Liston. Yeah, I knew it had to do with
What the hell? Fucking name Tiny, big as hell. Well, anyway,
man, he was the president of that corporation or whatever at that time. But showing you a lot of the movies that these crackers put together. Yeah. The president so-called happened to be black. You know, so-called black.
Yep.
When everything is jumping off.
Right.
And they always pushing in those movies all races coming together as one.
Right.
You know, like a unity of everybody.
One world order.
Or it's either a black president or a woman president. Now in the new Independence movie, that garbage, but they showed that the woman was the president of the whole world. So they always push that. They show you that right now they're not even boasting about bringing in the new world order. They're already showing that they're in the new world order. Going to Psalms 49:11, that the inward thoughts that their kingdom's gonna last forever. But their whole kingdom and their whole establishment is based off of Satanism.
Witchcraft.
And when you read Job 20:4, it said, "Has thou not learned this from the beginning of the days?" I'm not saying it verbatim, that the joy of the hypocrite is only for a moment. The hypocrite or the actor is the so-called white man. He says, "In God we trust," but he doesn't realize and push that the God that he say he's trusting in is Satan.
Right.
Well, right now it's evident with the LGBT community, with LGBT, with the whole damn you gotta put the transgender.
That's Tiny. That's Tiny.
Yeah.
They're pushing it on your children now.
They're pushing it in the cartoons.
Disney.
No, school.
Schools.
Sorry, the main place. The schools.
Yeah.
that you gotta bring. It's coming to a point where you got children, man. If you're in Yasher Allah,